So my name is David Fulton. I'm an intern here with Unit 13 Extension, Small Farms, Local Food, and I'm sitting here with my supervisor within the system, and Steve Ayers here with Extension is going to kind of talk about agriculture, and we're going to have another agricultural discussion. Do you want to give a little bit of background about yourself?
Yeah, actually, we are blessed to have a family farm over in Piatt County, and been farming there for over 40 years. And kind of in the mid-'80s, we adopted less tillage, and actually we're no-till, and now we switched to strip-till for our corn, and then continued with no-till for our soybeans. So let's see, going on 11 years, in 2003, there was an opportunity here for a position at University of Illinois Extension here in Unit 13. And of course, at that time, it was just Champaign County, and as a farm management specialist. So my dad actually had grown up. We'd grown up in Extension. My dad had been an Extension ag engineer for a few years before he was recalled to the Korean War. So I was certainly familiar. I'd been on the Extension Council there at Piatt County, so was familiar from the basically the administrative role as a member of the Extension Council for 2 terms. And so this was a great opportunity. It was a good fit for me. And then 3 years ago, University of Illinois Extension reorganized, and the farm management team was dissolved, and so I was fortunate enough to have the role of small farms and local food systems educator here in Unit 13, which covers both Champaign, Ford, Iroquois, and Vermilion counties. And in that role, we work primarily with specialty growers, and all kinds of specialty growers, both fruit, vegetable, livestock, and it's always a learning experience. There's something new every day.
Yeah.
And so it certainly has been challenging at times, but very enjoyable.
So we kind of talked on the levels of agriculture a little bit. We went from conventional to livestock to sustainable to organic. Do you kind of want to touch on the levels of agriculture a little bit?
Well, primarily here in Illinois, we're a corn and soybean.
Yeah.
Conventional with virtually millions of acres. It's the major industry in the state. And but there's also the specialty growers, and the actually USDA, who is our parent organization out in Washington of the entire extension system, did have an emphasis on the local food and small farms, and so that's why there are 17 of us throughout the state, the units throughout the state. Sure. And so but as far as various methods of agriculture, they're all over the board, and we work with everyone. We work with everyone that's strictly organic to sustainable to natural, pasture-raised, and USDA kind of defines many of those, like they have definite organic standards, and you have to have no pesticide for commercial fertilizer for, say, 3 years. But then there's also others that are rather nebulous and don't really have an official, and we work with all growers. I mean, we answer questions from conventional all the way down to organic and everything in between. So it's quite a broad field, and we do our best to answer all those questions.
Yeah. So if someone has a question about a definition of what kind of agriculture they're involved in, can they find that on the USDA website most likely?
That's a great place to start.
Okay. Steve, my next question for you is a little more broad, but I just kind of want your personal input. What does agriculture personally mean to you?
Well, agriculture is obviously the production of food, fuel, fiber, abundant, affordable and a safe food supply. And of course, food safety is one arena that we're becoming more and more aware of due to some unfortunate incidents that have occurred throughout the U.S. the last few years. And FDA, Food and Drug Administration, is coming up with new guidelines that will be probably released by sometime in 2015, and that will be a very important role for the local food educators to work with growers to make sure that food is safe.
Sure. Well, I got one last question for you, and it's the question that everyone's been asking. So as you know, there's going to be billions of mouths to feed someday in the world. Where do you see the future of agriculture going with that, and how we're going to be able to accomplish that task?
Well, it's supply and demand, and obviously in October 31st, Halloween of 2012, a young baby named Danica Mae Camacho was born in Manila, and she was the UN symbolic 7 billionth person. So I think by 2024, they're projecting we'll have 8 billion. And so it's a constant growing demand, and it's very common to have record or near record crops for each year because as globally acreage increases, just because there's an expanding demand, because we have more and more mouths to feed. So it's obviously a hot field. For young people getting into agriculture. Gosh, there's, ag supply, there's, only a couple million farmers, but there's a whole industry that takes care of those farmers. The University Extension is another, that education, both community college, extension, high school, agriculture teachers are in great need we have right now. There's a shortage there. So it's a tremendous field. It's one of the few for a college graduate, few occupations for a college graduate where you're almost assured of a position somewhere in the field. So it's a great time to be in agriculture, and it's certainly, the future looks bright.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Steve, and I appreciate your time today. And I'm sure if you have any questions, you can contact the Unit 13, any of the 3 extension offices here.
Well, and thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it.